Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of my Pokemon Battle Series, The School of Hard Knocks. As always, we'll be jumping on to the Global Link Battle Spot ladder this episode, playing underneath the Championship Battle rules, which are the equivalent rule set of the VGC 2017 rule set. So, we had a bit of a rocky start with, we did the team review yesterday, and then we went straight into some School of Hard Knock episodes with the changes to the team. Now, at the time, we had one match which was good, and then the second match it dragged on, stalled out, and to be honest, like I said, I've done another team review episode, just a quick one, because I just didn't feel comfortable with the team, and there was so many holes in it that I felt really needed patching up, especially in the current state of the metagame. So we went back to the team and we've changed a few things up. So now we're actually running Aerodactyl, Garchomp, Alolan Muck, Alolan Ninetales, Arcanine, and Tapu, as you can see on your screens right now. So we're just going to jump onto the Battle Spot ladder now with this new revamped team. We've got some new ideas in there. Hopefully we're covering things a bit better than we were yesterday, relying on like Milotic to be our Garchomp check, which is, it just doesn't... On paper, it kind of seems like a good idea, but then you kind of miss a lot of things that you need to be kind of covering at the same time. So, we've made these changes, and hopefully what we'll do is have a couple of better battles today, if we can get onto the global link. Oh, we've just been disconnected, so hopefully my internet isn't playing up too much, and we don't incur too many problems. So we'll just go quickly back on. So sorry about this, guys. I don't know if there's been issues with the Battle Spot servers lately. I don't know if you've been experiencing any problems. I had a few issues yesterday getting on before I recorded the videos, so it's a bit of a pain and inconvenience, but we will keep on trying. Hopefully we find an opponent pretty quickly, but there's probably a few things in the review video I didn't cover, but hopefully all going well. We'll do another review video. I'm sure that we will come across things that we've kind of overlooked, so we'll probably come back to it at another point. But I just keep reiterating the point, guys, that this, even though I didn't plan to do a review video so quickly again and change things up with the team again, this is the thing with Pokemon. You've always got to remember there aren't any rules with having to stick with certain things. If it's not feeling comfortable to you, then just reassess the team and see what you can do to change things up and feel a bit more comfortable going into battles against the big threats that you know you'll be facing. So, and like I always keep saying this as well, it's like a rinse and repeat cycle until you're really completely happy with the 6 Pokemon that you've got. And at the minute, I'm not 100% sure. I'm kind of a lot more confident today going into the matches with the Pokemon we've got than I was yesterday. We've got Intimidate support now, we've got a really good Garchomp check in the Ninetales, we've got a better way of handling Trick Room, because I don't think the Gigalith really is something you can heavily rely on, and it showed yesterday in that second match. It wasn't, obviously my opponent was setting up the Trick Room, but I just didn't have anything to handle the other Gigalith with. So I think the route that we were kind of approaching previously, where we were preventing the Trick Room and kind of going from there, is maybe something I'm more suited to. So it's maybe my play style or not, but we'll go into it today with this team. So it is Aerodactyl. We have changed the Focus Sash to a Rocky MZ. We've changed the Garchomp to a Choice Scarf variant. We have got the Alolan Muck, which kind of replaces the Marowak. So we've got Trick Room prevention methods in with that. We've given it the Darker MZ, which makes more sense because obviously with the unnervability with Aerodactyl, it doesn't kind of sit well with the berry on Muck as well, because it kind of prevents you from using it as well. So we've eventually got our first opponent from Italy, and they are running a team of Alolan Ninetales, Arcanine, Porygon2, Milotic, Garchomp, and Tapu Koko. So what are we going to do against my opponent here? I would like to lead possibly my Muck here. I need to be careful of the Garchomp and obviously the Intimidate from the Arcanine here. But just in case he leads off with the Porygon2, it would be a nice option to have there. And then at least if he leads off with the Ninetales, we've got an option to hit super effectively. So sorry, I'm kind of losing train of thought. I'm concentrating on what I want to bring. So I think I will lead off. Obviously we've got to be careful of the Garchomp as well. But I think I might lead my Aerodactyl, my Muck. Do I want to bring Tapu Bulu here? Tapu Bulu would be nice against the Melodic, but I don't know if I'm gonna be inclined to actually bring it. I'm gonna bring my Ninetales and I'm gonna bring my Garchomp as well and lock in with those four, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how this goes. Obviously this is the first match since we've made the changes, so we'll just have to see how things kind of pan out. Obviously, like I keep saying, there's always a learning curve to any new team that you're going to take into battle and practice with. You've got to kind of get over that. I know we didn't do it with yesterday's team, but there's different circumstances where I just really didn't feel comfortable with the team at all, and it just didn't sit right. Obviously on paper it seemed like a great idea, but then practicality of it just didn't kind of flow as well as it did. So hopefully we have a bit of better results today. So we're going to lead off with the Aerodactyl and my Alolan, and my opponent is going to lead off with the Ninetales and the Garchomp. So straight away we need to be aware of the Garchomp launching a Tectonic Rage into my Muck, but we can get around it and avoid any attacks coming off from that Ninetales by Sky Dropping it. So I think what I'll do is Sky Drop the... Yeah, I'm going to Sky Drop the Garchomp, and I'm just going to Poison Jab into the Ninetales. Because I would imagine my opponent might here go for an Aurora Veil setup, possibly with the Ninetales, but the Tectonic Rage is quite obviously going to come out from the Garchomp here. So at least by Sky Dropping it this turn will be... It's actually a Scarf Garchomp. Okay, so my opponent gets the Dragon Claw off onto my Muck. Aerodactyl avoids the Blizzard, and Muck's going to take a decent enough chunk of damage with the Blizzard there. We do take the Ninetales down to the Sash. If we pick up the Poison here, it would be super nice, but we don't, unfortunately. Now we're in a bit of a situation where we are definitely in Blizzard range from this Ninetales, so things aren't working out too great to start with. And let's see what we've got in the back, because I think I can safely switch my Ninetales in. This Garchomp isn't going to attack this turn because it's going to be going before everything. So I'm going to switch my Muck out for my Ninetales. Again, this happened in yesterday's battle. I'm kind of overlooking things, and it's obviously Scarf Garchomp at the minute makes a lot of sense in the metagame. So I need to really make it a conscious effort to remember that, because in certain situations like this, he could have freely Earthquake there. If he went for the Earthquake, obviously he'd be damaging his Ninetales and breaking his Sash. It doesn't really make much sense, but he could have switched something in and got a clean Earthquake off onto my Muck, which would have done good damage as well. So I will withdraw my Muck here, bring in my Ninetales. We will get the Sky Drop onto the Garchomp, which is going to do minimal damage. And maybe the turn before, maybe it was a better idea to actually switch in my Ninetales for my Muck rather than going for a straight up attack onto the Garchomp. Now we do know that Garchomp is actually locked into Dragon Claw here. And I do have my own Scoffed Garchomp in the back, but I don't really want to bring it in to take a Dragon Claw from my opponent. So I'm just going to bring my Muck back in here. And I should be able to KO both of these Pokemon now. I should be able to take a Dragon Claw from the Garchomp and get a Blizzard off and KO the Ninetales and and the Garchomp as well. So what? I'm wondering if it's worth... No, I'm not going to set the Auroville up just yet. So I am just going to go for a Blizzard here and protect my Muck this turn. So we're not in the best of positions. My opponent still has all 4 of his Pokemon, and I don't really have... I need to really get rid of the Ninetales before my Garchomp can come in, and obviously then I'm still locking myself into one move, and it probably isn't going to be Earthquake because I've got nothing that kind of sits next to the Garchomp that I can freely Earthquake with. So that is something to also think about in future games as well. So my opponent is going to switch out the Garchomp for the Porygon2. We'll get the download boost into attack. We're going to protect with our Muck, and this will all come down to a speed tie, I imagine. And the opposing Ninetales wins a speed tie, so we'll get a Blizzard off before we are able to pick up the KO on it. And the difficult thing here is my opponent can just bring that Garchomp back in and pick up the KO on the Muck, prevent me from getting a taunt off onto the Porygon2, which isn't ideal at all. So we're still not in the best of positions here. So if I was my opponent, I'd bring the Garchomp back in here, because it can a single target the Ninetales and probably pick up the KO, and it potentially has Rock Slide as well, which will probably KO both of my Pokemon. So we're not... It isn't actually, it's the Tapu Koko, so the Tapu Koko comes in here. Now what I've kind of got to hope for is my opponent targets down the Ninetales with the Tapu Koko, but it's not likely that that's going to happen. So I think what I'm going to have to do... Don't really want to switch here. I'm tempted to switch my Muck out because it would make sense for the Tapu Koko to kind of go for an attack onto the Muck. But I don't want to switch my Garchomp into a... I'm going to go for a Z knockoff if I can get it off onto the Porygon2 and a Blizzard straight in. Let's see if that locks in. I don't know if it has or not, but that's what I'm just kind of resigning the fact that I'm doing. So Tapu Koko is going to go for the Dazzling Gleam. It will pick up the KO on the Muck, unfortunately. We will get a Blizzard off, and we'll have to wait and see what this Porygon2 does here. We fortunately get a freeze onto the Tapu Koko, and the Porygon2 just goes for a try attack into the Ninetales, which will pick up the KO. And we only have a Garchomp left, so we're not in the best of positions, to be honest, because that Porygon2 probably has Ice Beam. If it does, then it's going to be able to pick up or deal with the Garchomp quite easily here. We obviously do outspeed the Tapu Koko in this situation and can pick up a KO with the Earthquake, but I don't think we have enough in the tank to kind of deal with the Garchomp in the back as well, because it can just Dragon Claw, unless we get really lucky with a massive crit onto the Porygon2 here with the Earthquake. Then even then I don't think it's probably enough, so we're not looking too hot going into this first match with this team. We are going to get the Earthquake off first, pick up the KO onto the Tapu Koko, do a decent amount of damage onto the Porygon2, and we'll see what the Porygon is going to use. Yeah, Porygon's got the Ice Beam. May survive this, but no, not today. Not with a crit. So I don't think it really mattered anyway, but good games to my opponent. There's some definite lessons to be taken from that match there. Obviously that was, I keep saying it's the first match with the changes since we've made it, but we need to just keep a few things in mind going into future matches there. Obviously the Garchomp being scarfed threw us off. I think in other circumstances I might have been inclined to Sky Drop the the Ninetales in that situation. But then again, I think either way, my lead into that match probably wasn't as good as it could have been. So not off to the best start, but we won't let that bother us too much. We just need to keep testing the team and playing more matches just to kind of get a feel for it. So, and not forgetting things like Garchomp can be scarfed, and like yesterday, obviously Metagross do carry Bullet Punch. I think one thing I tend to forget is because priority's been so nerfed this generation, it seems in my head sometimes like we don't need to worry about it too much, but it is still present, and Tapu Lele is not as common as it used to be. So priority moves are still obviously quite a threatening thing in this metagame, and obviously I've been using the Talon Flame recently, which has the Gale Wings ability, so I should really keep that in mind going into matches. So we're just going to look for our next opponent. Our rating isn't looking too great at the minute, but hopefully as we get more used to the team and the changes that we've made, we'll start climbing up the ladder and finding stronger opponents. Anyway, we've got our next opponent from Japan, and he is running a team of Garchomp, Celesteela, Arcanine, Vigavolt, Tapu Lele, and Weavile. So speak of the devil, Tapu Lele is here. So that's my opponent's Tapu of choice for this team. He's obviously got things like the Celesteela we need to be really aware of, and things like that is the Tapu Lele scarfed, because that would be a bit of an issue. I do like Ninetales here a lot. I really do like Ninetales here a lot, and I think I'm probably going to go for Ninetales and Arcanine as my lead here. I still need to be wary of the Tapu Lele being scarfed in this situation, but that lead kind of helps cover the majority of my opponent's team initially anyway. Now what do I want to bring in the back? I don't know if I'm going to need the Aerodactyl here. It does outspeed the Weavile, which is nice. But I think I might be more inclined to bring my Actually, I am going to bring my Muck. And I'm going to bring my Garchomp in the back. So we'll go with those four and see how it goes. Obviously, the Garchomp late game with the Choice Scarf might be quite nice to bring in on things like the Vigavolt, if he's got that out for the rock side support there, and obviously the Weavile as well. So we'll just see how we get on in this match and see how my opponent's going to set up against us here. I think the lead of Arcanine, Ninetales, does really help cover a lot of things. We've obviously got the Intimidate support, we've got the option to Auroraville as well this first turn. And we're going to see my opponent lead off with the Arcanine and Celesteela here. So as soon as the match initiates, my Ninetales is going to get the Snow Warning up and set Hail onto the field. My Arcanine is faster than my opponent's Arcanine, so that is something to note. We'll get the Intimidate off first, and then my opponent will get the Intimidate back onto my Arcanine as well. Now we are threatened heavily from both the Celesteela and the Arcanine onto my Ninetales, and we do really need to keep it around on the just for late game for that Garchomp that can potentially come in. So what I might do here is I can switch. I don't want to keep the Ninetales out on the field, to be honest, at the minute. I think what I'll do is bring in my Garchomp for my Ninetales to take that fire attack, and I am just going to go for a Flareon Z onto the Celesteela. And if my opponent keeps it in, it should do a good amount of damage. So as long as we're just chipping away at that, then if it protects, obviously we will get damage off on it too. It does waste the Z move, but we just need to try and keep on top of the Celesteela at the minute. So the Arcanine is going for an extreme speed into my Arcanine, We are going to get the Z move off, so we will get the Inferno Overdrive onto the opposing Celesteela. I don't imagine this to pick up the KO though, just because of the Intimidate from the opposing Arcanine. But we'll see how much damage this does. It does depend on what build this Celesteela is as well. So get the Inferno Overdrive off. It does a big chunk of damage to the Celesteela, and the Celesteela is going to go for a Rock Slide into both of my Pokemon. So, what are we going to do here? Now, with Garchomp here, we do have the potential to pick up the KO onto the Celesteela with the Rock Slide, but it might be worth just looking at what my opponent has in the back and seeing what his potential switch-ins could be. He's got the Garchomp that would make sense to bring in on a fire type attack, but we want to start trying to chip away at that Arcanine, to be honest, so I might just go for a Rock Slide and I think I'm just going to I'm going to go for the Flare Blitz into the Celesteela again, just to try and clear it off the field if my opponent does leave it in, and the Rock Slide for some reason misses. Arcanine goes for the Extreme Speed again. It isn't enough to take out my Arcanine. We do get the Rock Slide off, and we're probably going to just end up Flare Blitzing into my opponent's Arcanine. And I do wonder if that Arcanine is actually Choice Banded, maybe, using the Extreme Speed, and it is doing quite a bit of damage even after the Intimidate. So unfortunately our Arcanine is going to go down here to the hail damage, but we have cleared the field of the Celesteela, so that is quite nice. Now I think here I will bring in my Ninetales again. Obviously we need to be aware of the Extreme Speed from the Arcanine, potentially breaking our Sash. And my opponent actually brings in the Weavile. Okay. So, my opponent can go for a... He can go for a Fake Out into the Garchomp, but it's more likely that he'll probably Fake Out into the Ninetales here if he is carrying Fake Out at all. He might just go for an attack straight into the Garchomp, in which case we will get a Rock Slide off first, which should pick up the KO onto the Arcanine. So I think what I might do is just go for a Rock Slide and a Blizzard. I'm just going to go for the Blizzard, because depending on the damage output that the Rock Slide does to the Weavile, if it doesn't go for the Fake Out, which it does, goes into the Fake Out, breaks the Sash on the Ninetales, Arcanine is going to get the Extreme Speed off, takes my Ninetales down to about 50%, but we will get the Rock Slide off. So this is putting us in quite a nice position going into the next turn. My opponent's down to his last two Pokemon now. So we do take a round of chip damage from the hail with our Garchomp, but that Weavile is definitely in KO range from another Rock Slide now, so it will be interesting to see what my opponent's last Pokemon is. Now it is the Garchomp. Now the question is it Scarfed or not? But I highly doubt that it is Scarfed, to be honest. So we're just going to go for the Rock Slide again, and I am going to... Yeah, I'm just going to go for a Blizzard. Just going to go for the Blizzard here. So Rock Slide should pick up the KO onto the Weavile, and then we should be outspeeding the opposing Garchomp with our Ninetales and picking up the KO with the Blizzard. So we'll just see how this turn plays out, and then this turns the episode around a little bit if we pick up the win. But anything can happen still at this point. We don't know what my opponent's item choices on that Garchomp are, what moves the Weavile's actually carrying either. And there's always a chance that the Rock Slide can miss from the Garchomp, which wouldn't be ideal Fortunately though, we do hit the Weavile with the Rock Slide. That was the target that we were most concerned about there. So we pick up the KO on the Weavile, which is nice, and we hopefully will get the Blizzard off onto the Garchomp, which will easily pick up the KO, single target Blizzard, and that is that. So that's a little bit better, isn't it? I'm a bit happier about that result. So good games to my opponent. The team seemed to play a bit better there, so hopefully we carry on and keep on improving with this team. I am going to stand behind the changes that we've made since yesterday. I do think that they will in the end work out a lot better than what the team was previous to that. So but like I always say, we can come back to the review video and do another episode of that. It would be nice to get some comments to see if it's the sort of thing you guys are enjoying. Obviously that's the main reason I'm doing it, to try and help give you little tips and advice and stuff like that. So if it is, just leave a comment, leave a like on this video if you've enjoyed this episode. If you've got any questions about the team or any players I've made, just leave a comment as well and I will get back to you. But I will just say thank you for all the support, guys. I really do appreciate all the support I've had, and just appreciate you guys coming and watching the channel. I get a lot of enjoyment out of making Pokemon content. I'm a huge Pokemon fan, so being able to do this and have actually people take an interest in it, it is gets you right here, and I'm not joking around there. It does mean a lot, so I do appreciate everything that you guys are kind of doing for the channel, because without you as viewers, the channel would be nothing. So I do enjoy it, and I just want to keep creating content that you guys are enjoying. So if there is stuff you want to see, mention it, drop me a comment and put it in there. But I will not drag this out any further. As always, guys, it has been a pleasure. So I will have another episode from my Premier Challenge tournament coming up later on this evening, so keep an eye out for that. Sub to the channel if you haven't already, and you'll be flurried with daily uploads and things like that. And until tomorrow, guys, I will see you later. So take care of yourselves, and until then, bye bye.